Hey there. What if employee engagement, the metric that fills HR reports, leadership dashboards, and way too many PowerPoint decks, wasn't actually the end game? What if engagement is just the appetizer and the main course, the thing that transforms a workplace from meh to magic, is inspiration? Because here's the deal. Engagement is good, but inspiration is rocket fuel. Engagement gets people in the door. Inspiration gets them out of bed in the morning, sometimes even before their third snooze button. Right now, most organizations are still wrestling with engagement, and to be honest, they're not doing so great. Engagement in the US is at a 10-year low, with 31% of employees feeling engaged at work. That means the other 69% are either quietly updating their resumes, stress-baking sourdough, or counting down the minutes until happy hour. But here's the kicker. Even if you do have engaged employees, that doesn't guarantee they're inspired. And without inspiration, you're just spinning your wheels. Let's set the stage with some numbers, shall we? Bain Company found that if satisfied employees are productive at a baseline of 100, engaged employees score 144. And that's not bad. But inspired employees, they hit 225. That's more than twice as productive as someone who's merely satisfied. That means if you want a high-performing team, you can't stop at engagement, because engagement is like a treadmill. You're moving, but not going anywhere. Inspiration is like a rocket ship, strapped in, fueled up, and blasting off. But here's the problem. Most workplaces treat engagement as the finish line. They roll out engagement surveys, throw in a pizza party, maybe buy a foosball table, and check the box. Our culture is great, except not really. Engaged employees will show up, they'll do the job, but inspired employees, they bring creativity, energy, and ownership. They see their work as meaningful. And when you don't create the conditions for inspiration, you get compliance instead of commitment. And the symptoms are everywhere. Morale tanks, turnover skyrockets, innovation dries up like last year's office holiday fruitcake. Managers are left duct taping the culture together just to get through the week. It's like fueling a jet with AA batteries. Sure, the lights flicker, but you're not leaving the runway. Engagement keeps the ship afloat. Inspiration, that's what propels it forward. Why does this gap between engagement and inspiration even matter? Well, first of all, the costs are pretty staggering. Turnover alone is a budget buster. Disengaged organizations see turnover rates up to 60% higher than engaged ones. Now, imagine you've got employees who are technically engaged but not inspired. They'll stay until something better comes along, and you're bleeding talent. Then there's innovation. Engaged people follow the playbook. Inspired people write the next one. Without inspiration, you're in rinse and repeat, doing what worked yesterday, even if yesterday was 3 market disruptions ago. And let's talk about burnout. Engagement alone doesn't protect against it. 41% of employees report high stress at work already. Engagement might keep them in the office, but inspiration helps them understand why their work matters. And that meaning, that's what buffers stress. So what is inspiration really? And how is it different from just being engaged? Think of it as 3 levels. First, satisfaction. The basics are met, you have a safe workplace, tools, and fair pay. Then there's engagement. You realize you're part of a team, you're learning, and you're growing. And then inspiration. You're able to connect your work to purpose. You feel the meaning in what you're doing every day. You understand that you're making a contribution to something greater than yourself. Psychologists Todd Thrash and Andrew Elliott describe 3 qualities of inspiration. First, evocation. It strikes you, often unexpectedly. Next, there's a sense of transcendence. You rise above your self-interest and see new possibilities. And last, they call it approach motivation, which sounds pretty sciencey and academic-y, but what it means is you act on that energy and you're able to move something forward. Inspiration isn't just feeling good or being hyped up. It's not the same as positive emotions. It's deeper. It's when clarity clicks and you see something bigger than yourself, thus feeling the meaning in what you're doing. Here's my favorite metaphor. Satisfied employees hold a meeting to talk about the wall in front of them. Engaged employees look for a ladder to climb it, not bad. But inspired employees, they break right through it. It's where disruption actually lives. So how do we do it? What's the inspired code? How do we move from engaged to inspired? Well, that's where the inspired code comes in. These are the elements that I've experienced in my work with organizations and teams that need to exist to create the conditions for inspiration to strike. And here's the thing, They're not just for leaders, although that's who I'm talking to. They can live with everyone. Inspiration is a shared responsibility. That brings us to code element number 1, 100% responsibility. Inspired organizations and employees take radical responsibility. They don't wait for HR to fix it or for leadership to magically appear with answers. They say, if it's to be, it's up to me. They let go of blaming, complaining, judging, and criticizing as a way of managing challenges. The finger pointing takes a backseat to learning and moving forward. And each person owns their part in all things going well and not so well. So here's your action step. At your next team meeting, ask, what's one thing you can own this week to make our culture stronger and inspire someone? And then, of course, you must answer the question first. Now, on to code element number 2, real-time feedback. Engaged workplaces survey once a year. Hopefully, inspired workplaces create feedback loops in real time. They ask, listen, and adapt. They ask some simple and powerful questions like, what should we stop doing? What should we start doing? And what should we continue doing? And leaders and their teams ask each other as individuals too. Feedback is the great creator for growth. Here's your action step. Replace one long survey with short weekly check-ins. 3 questions. Start, stop, continue. Takes 10 minutes. And then act on it. Now, on to code element number 3. Inspired cultures are built on trust. And trust is built on agreements you make and keep. It's pretty simple. Do what you say you'll do when you say you'll do it. And don't do what you say you won't do. When you mess up, own it. Said differently, an agreement is who will do what by when. Just notice how often we sit in meetings and walk away with a task or two and we don't get clear about by when. Here's your action step. Audit those agreements. Did you close the loop? Do you need to renegotiate an agreement that you made? Or 2, take action and clean them up. Let's move on to code element number 4. This includes strengths and appreciation. Engagement gets people to use their skills. Inspiration gets them to use their strengths. And when leaders regularly name and appreciate those strengths, people feel seen. Strengths are the things that are so innate to us that if we were to suddenly lose them, we wouldn't know who we were anymore. Skills are transferable. Strengths make us who we are. Here's your action step. Begin each meeting with, who inspired you this week? What is a strength you notice that seems to shine right through them? This is called strength spotting, and it's a real deal and allows people to feel fully seen and appreciated. Last and certainly not least, code element number 5, meaning and purpose. This is the big one. Inspired employees know why their work matters. They connect even small tasks to the larger purpose. They have clarity about the vision and the goals they're trying to accomplish and how their role contributes to it. Making a contribution is a way of stepping outside of ourselves and finding a bit of meaning each day. Here's your action step. Take a mandatory task and ask, what's the purpose of it? What does this lead to? What is the bigger thing that this action is contributing to? And if you're a leader, making sure that each person knows how their actions are contributing to the big goal, that's where the real meaning lives. Let me give you a real story. A senior vice president I worked with had what looked like an engaged team. They did hit their numbers and they showed up to meetings, responded quickly to emails. On paper, they were great. But when I asked her if she was inspired and she felt her team was inspired, she hesitated. She didn't feel it, and she was pretty sure her team wasn't feeling it either. What we discovered was a team that was busy, but also burning out. They were engaged, but not connected to meaning. So she started linking every project back to the bigger mission, asking, what purpose does this serve? Who does this impact? She also started to make appreciation a habit. She encouraged strengths to shine. She made the mission clear and how everyone was a part of it. And here's the great part of this. As a leader, when you can answer that question, how are all of these pieces fitting into us meeting the goal? And how is each person on my team contributing to that? It gives you points of clarity that you may not have considered before. And it also shows you when the opposite is happening. It allows you to make changes in real time. Over the course of several months, the vibe shifted on her team. The team wasn't just engaged. They were living into inspiration. They were suggesting ideas, taking ownership, even challenging when things didn't align with purpose. There was real energy on the team. The vice president said to me, now they're not just engaged, they're inspired. And honestly, it's contagious. Research shows inspiring leaders play 3 roles. First, they're visionary. They paint a vivid, values-driven picture of the future. Next, they're exemplars. They model courage, authenticity, and passion. In other words, they're human. And third, they mentor. They're able to empower, elevate, and empathize with the people on their team. And here's the good news. Anyone can practice and utilize these ways of being. You don't have to be born inspiring. That's the whole point. You just need to practice. So here are some practical tools for you. What can you do to help yourself feel more inspired? And of course, inspire others. Of course, put these 5 elements into practice we just talked about, and additionally, try on these practices with yourself. First, openness. Stay curious. Inspiration favors an open mind. Ask questions. Next, mastery. Skill building prepares the ground for inspiration to strike. Effort's the soil, inspiration is the spark. Keep learning something new every day, which really fits into curiosity and openness. Next, find some role models. Exposure to inspiring leaders boosts everyone's inspiration, and we also need to surround ourselves with people who do inspire us. Next, reflection. Look back on moments when you've been inspired. What conditions created that spark? Last and certainly not least, small wins. Progress creates momentum, which fuels more inspiration. Keep the small wins front and center every day. So here's my challenge, fearless leader. What's one shift you'll make this week to move from engaged to inspired? Will you take 100% responsibility, ask for more feedback, make one impeccable agreement? Just pick one and then drop me a line in the comments. I want to hear all about it, and I want to hear how it impacted you too. Because here's the bottom line. Engagement's good, but it's not enough. It'll keep the lights on. Inspiration lights the fire. It's what turns just a job into my work, my purpose, my contribution. And this is why it matters for burnout. In my full circle leadership practice, we talk about get clear, knowing what really matters, get real, taking 100% responsibility, and get vital, protecting your energy. Inspiration weaves through all of it. When you're clear on purpose, you don't waste energy on meaningless work. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for others to fix things. And when you feel inspired, your work actually gives you energy instead of draining it. And that's the antidote to burnout. So don't stop at engagement. Build a culture of inspiration. Because when people feel inspired, they don't just survive work, they thrive through it. And if you think someone could benefit from this video, share it. And of course, if it resonated with you, hit subscribe to get more great stuff on how to thrive in the 9 to 5 and beyond. Happy thriving!